We're back, and it occurred to me during my break that while we can unlock the map that I want to unlock, or should be able to. Oh, I forgot about the memorial. That's awful, though. Gotta go through that terrible memorial. Just the same, we can do it. Not an issue. Um, while we can get to where I want to be, we are going to lack some of the masteries that really make that map easy to navigate, and that is going to impact our ability to do that. So I don't know how much progress we're going to make, in the near term on getting some of those ascended trinkets. For that reason, it will be easier when we do more Heart of Thorns content. While we're here, so it's been 20, 25 minutes, whatever the case may be, since I put in the orders and one item has come in. That's fine. So we got 4 items left. We'll buy those outright. Mantle, leggings, coat, and boots. Cancel these orders. Get our money back on that. So the difference really wasn't significant. It wasn't particularly profound. And worth it to go ahead and get that much closer to where we want to be. Now I think what we'll do for trinkets for the near term, and there are a number of options. We could buy berserker trinkets. Um, that wouldn't be, certainly would not be a wrong thing to do. Would probably be more right than what I'm going to do, just because those would cost a little bit. I think what we'll probably do is for that build, or that template, whatever we want to say, we'll go ahead and let's see. We got to set this one. I have no intention of actually wearing that though.
Have a nice day.
Alright, there we go. So we got our armor. Still gonna run with the greatsword. Still gonna run with an axe. And focus. And then here, I think what we'll go ahead and do is use the Celestial until we're able to replace those. Probably not like ideal compared to getting berserker stuff, but it'll be adequate. And at some point in the very near future, our ability to have something ascended, again with kind of the idea that the trinkets are the easiest, something ascended to move us forward on fractals as well. Because after that little fractal blitz, was it yesterday? A couple days ago, whenever it was. We're already at, I believe, fractal level 7. Fractal level 10 is where you start to kind of want some agony resistance, and you don't need very much at that point. But something... You can do a higher level fractal than 10 with 0 agony resistance. It just starts getting a little bit more problematic. So depending on your group composition and how much I'm being carried by other people, it could potentially become an issue.
Hello, friend. Rest in peace. May the mountains hear her name.
So this is a really, really good example.
She was a dear friend.
Let's head up.
Not unlike
People will be glad you're here.
our entry into
Some may
End of
have
Dragons,
questions about
where
what happened.
I hope it's not why.
they are
still
seeking to
struggling
wrap
with
up
that
some
one
stuff
myself.
from Heart of Thorns,
Aren't we all? Perhaps that's
deliver
the answer
a significant
Bram
amount
left
of
to see.
storytelling.
He's not here?
They need a platform for the
He arranged
exposition,
this and then took to the mountains.
and this is what we get: is a
Fire inside
non-combat
that almost feel sorry
high
for any
dialogue
Tormod's minions he
instance.
comes across.
Sounds like he's working through it in true Bram fashion. Good.
Make yourself at home. Your Tribune friend certainly has. Now I'll leave you to it, Commander. Speak with whomever you wish
leave me
and
to it.
celebrate, or pay your respects privately. The spirit of air can be found in either.
She had him dead to rights. We all knew it.
This
What was he going to
instance
do?
is probably
Plead?
really as close as they've ever come
Air wouldn't buy it
to
anyway. So he just jumped
further
off the ledge.
developing and kind of celebrating the
she wouldn't
culture
give him the
around one of the
satisfaction
races
of
in Guild Wars
escape,
2, which is the
even to his
Norn,
death.
which are
She
these
shot him before he hit the
human-like
ground.
but obviously much larger folks here.
Damn, that knew how to exact
It's a
revenge.
warrior culture. They're very kind of isolationist, not in terms of that they can't interact with the other races, but each really kind of exists.
Hey, good to see you.
They do their own thing independent of each other.
You
Like
too.
they're
Spreading a little air cheer.
very independent,
Things were getting too serious. Just ensuring they remember
but
the right air.
so little of what they represent. And in Guild Wars 1, or the original Guild Wars,
Why don't you
the
do
Eye
a
of the North
trombone a
expansion
favor and buzz off?
introduced them and
But I want to hear about the Blood Legion.
made
Don't
them
you
appear to
think
be something
quietly
promising.
weeping
And
in
then
the
really
corner
of the
by
5
yourself would
races
be
in
more
Guild Wars
fun than
2,
this?
they are the ones that
Nah, this
the
is fine.
studios really delivered on the least in terms of storytelling and
Have you
kind of
heard
development.
from Zoja or Logan? I was crossing my fingers they'd be well enough to make
I
it.
think
Still
by
both
this
laid
point
up
in
on my
Guild Wars
last visit.
2's progression,
Too bad.
they're really just
Mordremoth's
seen as
death
humans,
came with
only
a great
bigger,
toll,
and I
for
don't
sure.
think
You know,
there's an
with those
appetite
two out of the field and
to
Snaffin
really
Bear
do a whole lot
gone
more with them.
and Keith,
it-
well,
They could
really
surprise
is no
me and
Destiny's
really
Edge
make.
anymore.
I'm sorry, Ritlock. I know how.
Icefood
important
Saga
it is.
was in theory kind of
There's no
centered
sense in
around them,
looking
but I
back.
don't know that they developed them any more
Maybe
than
it's
what
time
we
to
already
start
had.
again.
I don't think we learned
Another
anything new
guild.
about them or
Would Air want us
really
to do
came
that?
to appreciate
She
the Norn as a
wouldn't
race
want us to
anymore.
get caught up
And
in
maybe
her
they'll do
death
that
like
going
she
forward
did
with the
with
next Living World or
Seth.
something. We should be due
Gets you nowhere.
some new Living World. Now that they're finally wrapping up season 1.
Tyria would probably
We may
sleep
only
more
be about 3
soundly
months
with the
away
Dragon
from
Slayer
some
at
new
the
Living
helm
World.
of a
I
new guild.
We could do
don't
a
know
lot
that I
of
would make
good.
the
It
assumption
didn't go
that we're only
perfectly,
3
but the
months
small
away.
group we had was pretty capable against Mordremoth. What would we call it?
What the exact timeline they follow on that is yet to be
Not be
seen.
part of a guild called Fate's Razor.
Maybe we'll see a lot
What
of Norn,
about
but
Dragon's Watch?
Dragon's Watch.
I wouldn't
like
bet in favor of
that.
it.
Can I be in it?
No.
No, Nyla, leave us alone.
But I've got my Uncle Beamish's magical sword.
Not yet, kid.
So these weird little things. This is something
Come see
that right
going
there
on?
is something that Guild Wars 2 kind of does in a fun way, which is like give us these weird little things. So Nyla here has Uncle Beamish's magical sword. They give us these little things that represent like, oh, will we see that later? And sometimes we do, and that's really fun when we do. Is a year and a half later in a Living World story, we will meet Beamish and he'll be like, this situation would have been better, but I don't have my magical sword. I gave it to my niece. And then we'll be like, oh my gosh, this instance is years old now, and we're like, oh, it was 5 years ago, or whatever. In fact, you know what, it was probably more than that. No, it's probably about 5 years ago or so. 5 years ago, we met Nyla here, and she mentioned Uncle Beamish. Sometimes they do. They follow through on those things, and it's a lot of fun. Sometimes they don't.
A memorial.
I understand they got limited resources. You can't
Yeah. Nice work, soldier.
you can't keep track of all those things and write all those things into the game when video games do not provide a very good platform for
What can I do to
storytelling.
help?
I'll send for a healer.
They provide a better
meantime,
platform
there's
that
plenty
maybe
of food
ArenaNet
around.
actually utilizes at
I'll do
times,
it.
but
Rocks, you rest.
it is still a limited platform. What do we need to do with Garm here? He needs food, and I think we need to wash him here in just a second too. But it would not hurt my feelings if we meet Uncle Beamish one day.
Oh my.
And hopefully he does not have a
There you
magic
go,
sword.
boy.
because presumably Nyla will still have it. We'll see. Or maybe we will meet Nyla one day, and she'll be grown. You know, she, as far as I know, only exists within this instance, and it is instanced. So they can age her without it having an impact on
Tracked him
the
from
open
the
world.
crash site. Wasn't easy. The jungle's still crawling. with
Or maybe
monsters.
she does exist out in the open world, and I just
Some
don't
of them have
realize
come
that's also
unhinged without
possible.
their master's voice. Poor Garm followed Air's scent into
You know,
a
the
mill
Guild Wars 2 wiki is
He
actually
was lucky to be alive.
pretty impressive compared
both
to a lot of other gaming wikis.
Bram's gonna be so
The
happy when
community
he
is
gets back.
really good
He's
about
not here?
finding weird little things. If
No,
Nyla's out there
he's
somewhere in the open
mountains
world,
blowing off some steam.
I would
I'll
be
stay with
reasonably
Garm and make sure
confident
he's
that,
okay.
that
When he's
the
ready,
wiki
we
has a
can try to
page
catch up
dedicated to
with
her
Bram.
and notes
sure
where
the
she
cold air
appears.
will do
That's
Garm some good
the
after
level
that
of
jungle.
detail and how thorough
If I
the
never
Guild
see
Wars
another
2
pocket
wiki
raptor
is.
as long as I live, I'll die happy.
So many named
Let's get to what we're
NPCs
here
have a
for.
page and have details about them and note facts based on the stories and so forth.
Would anyone like to hear a tale of heirs to great deeds?
So now we're just trying to fill our bar here so we can get to... I had actually completely forgotten about this story instance when I made it a goal to get into the Bloodstone Fen map.
Who let that wolf in here? It smells awful.
Well,
That's Air's pet.
calm down,
Go on.
Kelda.
Oh my. I'm sorry. I mean, he must have heard me. Sorry, Garm.
Was it quick?
She died in battle. There was no prolonged suffering.
Alright. Hooray for no prolonged suffering.
That your legend will be remembered.
Oh, yeah, flowers. Alright, we'll get to that in a second. So apparently I'm a sculptor now. Or maybe there was already a sculpture there and it just
Wolf
was waiting.
chose Air at a young age.
I suppose that's what, who was it said
This
that?
spirit recalls the importance
Was it
of
Michelangelo?
and you were part of hers.
They said that the sculpture is already there. He just set it free from the stone. I think that was Michelangelo or Michelangelo. All right, we're actually almost already done with our little bar there, which is great. All right, go team.
Air had many
Everyone,
qualities of
lend
skill
us your
afoot.
ears.
Her stealth was
The one who killed Zaitan with heirs to Gawkin would like to say a few words.
We've all lost people we loved. And the pain of that can be overwhelming. But we can't let that pain stop us from moving forward without them.
So there have been a lot of people who've
Without her.
requested the
Instead,
ability,
We honor,
you know,
celebrate her
unskippable
life.
cutscenes is bad enough.
gift that
Some
she
people have
was.
suggested
Air
that
is
there
a
be
part of
like
me.
a
part
skip
of
button
all
or a
of
way to
us.
advance like this kind of
How do we
dialogue
thank
too,
the
which
gods for
some
that?
games do.
By living the rest of our own lives larger.
You know, it's not an MMORPG, but like
bolder,
Cyberpunk
we
2077,
love,
you know, you can
we
advance
laugh,
through a lot of the dialogue.
we defend
Even then,
our
there's some
world,
dialogue that you can't
and
advance
we
through.
fight
But
for what's right. We do what she would have done. Homesteaders, hunters,
what did I forget to?
heroes all. To
What did I
Air.
sell?
Two.
Rest in heirs to Gawkin.
Huh.
May the legend lives on. May we all
Great
Nicely
warrior
done.
and
Eh,
friend.
no idea.
and the
Okay.
Great Spirit.
Commander, this just arrived for you.
Looks like I'm off to Rodonovus. Ritlock, care to follow?
Sure, but I need to take care of something on the way.
Rest in
Or
peace.
rather, tell someone I won't
May
be
the mountain
taking
hear
care
her
of something.
name until the end of time.
Whoever Ritlock's voice actor is, like,
There.
he must have one hell of a sore
Sure.
throat.
Rocks, Ritlock
After
talked
a
me
day
into
with the
founding a
internet.
new guild. It'd be great to have you.
Or, I don't
And
know, maybe they
pass the
modify his
invitation
voice in
on to
some way.
Bram when you see him. Actually, don't. I'll do it in person. I don't want him to think we're merely replacing Destiny's Edge after his mother's death.
I get it. And I think he will too, when the time's right.
So that this right here is actually the start
Another
of a rather
personal victory.
lengthy and somewhat annoying story arc where Bram is, you know, salty about his interactions with us, and we are rather obtuse about how we interact with him, and the whole thing is maybe a little bit ridiculous. And it really led to Bram being a terribly disliked character, which he is really pretty dislikable. But I don't know if that was their finest moment. Like, I understand what they were trying to achieve, but I I don't know if it was handled with the finesse it could have been.
We'll never get recruits. These dust bunnies have no interest in gut-wrenching, mind-blowing war.
All right.
1 second, please.
Sure, buddy. Take your time.
Fight! Gollum, what are you doing?
Responding with
This is not happening! Stop! Hold!
So this is a thing that they do when they recognize that coming off of an instance that had 0 combat, they have to insert something, or it'll become a visual novel. And that's where we get like that.
It'll take me months to repair you now.
There was no reason for that to happen. It was nonsense. Like, it almost feels out of place. You know, we show up in our laboratory and we get attacked by Gollum.
all this crunchy old tech's been
but-
overstimulated by the influx of magic.
It is an indicator that they do understand that
Funny. I also sent one to
if
this
people want
guy,
visual
but
novels,
he
they'll
barely
buy
made
them off Steam.
Your note
Like
failed
we
to
don't.
mention how to navigate
we don't need
this
Guild Wars 2 to do
absurd
that.
playground.
So, and I suppose if I criticize them for the story and then I criticize them for telling the story, maybe that's unfair.
City of the future, my tale.
And that's how we get that.
It's good to see you. I was so happy when I saw your mission was a success. But then I heard about Marshal Traherne.
He saved us all. His sacrifice won't soon be forgotten.
But there's good news too. Ritlock says we're starting a new guild. So exciting!
Glad you're on board.
Of course you are! Someone has to be the brains. Kidding. In all seriousness though, I suspect some of the things I'm working on in this place will come in.
So this
very
is the
handy.
first
How have you been doing here?
map. So
Great.
these are the first couple
Fantastic.
instances of
Well,
season
it was
3,
before every Asura and their
which
grand
really
mentor showed
was
up.
the
At least you have a lot of
launching
hands
point
to
for
pitch in at
Timey
the
to kind of
Dragon
be
Lab.
something pretty
What do
annoying.
you mean, Commander? I've never heard of this room you describe. Keep it down about the Dragon Lab. I don't want anyone finding out about it. Especially
progeny.
Counselor Flood, how lovely to see you. I'm so pleased you didn't end up on a Chalk's breakfast menu this morning.
You can stow the dim insults. They'll never be clever enough to wound me. Now, have there been any new developments today?
Why, none that I can think of.
So earlier I
Allow
mentioned
me to
an
warn
NPC
you
who was
of
designed to be
any
unlikable
secrets from
and
progeny.
was
My
unlikable.
wrath is as fierce as my intellect.
It,
Oh, that sounds
Flunt is a bit different.
terrifying. Dream of hiding something from you, Counsel.
Flunt is entertainingly unlikable. And I think maybe... No, I think Minister Lee was supposed to be sinister. Guild Wars 2 has an extremely hard time with
Let's head
sinister.
there now, but not the way you know.
I don't
We're going through the
know...
gate. I've configured it to appear as if we're going to the command center.
I struggle a little
but
bit
we're really
to
going
put
to
my
the
finger
North.
on why that
Except there's a
is.
catch. You have to outsmart
There
the security
are...
measures.
You're joking, right?
There are not that many moments, there are a handful, but there are not that many moments in the game that feel sinister, that actually feel dark. Even times that they like are kind of trying to be dark, it does not feel dark. Oh, puzzle. Alright, we'll solve the puzzle.
Unidentified user. Security measures activated. Enter passcode.
Just a memory game.
Phase 1 of 5 complete.
Kind of like the hero point in the desert. And, you know, you're going to see the same tricks more than once. You know,
Enter passcode.
because it's inevitable. Like, at the end of the day, there are only so many tricks when it comes to game design, right?
Enter passcode. Phase 3 complete. Enter passcode. Phase 4 complete.
I think that's actually the same every time. So probably that entire sequence is in the wiki. Because I think it's... I don't think it changes. I don't think it's randomized.
That's our cue. You cracked the code. Let's go.
1 achievement point. Very exciting. So it's interesting. Season 1... Well, everything about Season 1 is interesting, and I'm sure when the time comes and I do my story playthrough, I'll be like waxing poetic about that, about what Season 1 was and was not, and kind of what it did for the game, and where it succeeded, where it failed, because it was really interesting, and there were a lot of things, even if there were aspects of Season 1 that did really not go well, and there were a number of things that they tried to do that really didn't work. And with Season 1 having the original post-core meta events, particularly Marionette, they struggled to kind of understand like what did and didn't work in that capacity, and the Eighth Blade invasions kind of served as the precursor for Joko's Awakened invasions, which they added years and years later in the game. And you could see where they had made changes to how that worked to avoid some of the problems that took place. Although some of the problems are still existent, they're just less pronounced because the player base has changed a little bit. But definitely with Marionette, they had to look at some things that did not work well at all. And also certain technologies within the game, like a mega server, changed things considerably. Also,
died looks like it's cooling down a little.
Yeah, a lot of that energy's been put back into the system.
But where was I going with
patterns,
Season 1?
This map isn't built for detailed reading.
Totally lost my train of thought there. That's what I get for drinking and gaming and talking all at the same time.
What is it?
Not to toot my own warbler or anything, but I killed a chalk or two in my time alone here. Since the others don't know about this place, I couldn't ask to have defenses installed, so they pop up every once in a while when the lab's drawing a lot of power.
Like those?
Exactly. Get 'em.
Battle awaits.
The sound makes my teeth ache.
Time to do some real damage.
Timmy, you gotta stop eating cookies in your lab.
I think they smell the organ I harvested. Like one of their kids. You don't fall weakly.
We're incoming. It ain't nap time yet.
Oh, I do remember. I was thinking that silence was me thinking very hard, trying to remember what it was, where I was going with the whole Season 1 thing. One of the interesting things about the changes over time is how they distribute achievement points. It's also one of the reasons that achievement points are kind of a poor representation or a poor metric to evaluate people's progress in the game, or evaluate people's skill, I should say. They're a pretty solid metric for evaluating progress in the game. So are mastery points, though. But they're not a very good metric for skill. And they were really handed out much larger chunks. Less chunks, but larger chunks in Season 1 versus, by Season 4, Icebridge Saga. The amounts had not actually changed significantly. A lot of people were under the impression that the amounts of AP awarded had changed quite a bit. And when people actually do the math and make little Excel spreadsheets, it's not that the amounts changed significantly. They kind of went up and down a little bit. But that they're spread out over a much larger number of achievements as the game gets older. And some of those achievements require significantly more. So instead of a single achievement at a single moment in time where you did this one thing, you jumped over this shockwave and it's a hard thing to do, and you immediately get like 20 achievement points or something like that. Instead, those big chunks come when you collect, you know, every weapon in a weapon set that is only available by gaining a map currency or something like that. Like the Astralarium weapons, I think they're called Astral weapons, in Season 4, the first map on Season 4. There are achievement points associated with that collection, and that's pretty cool. I like the weapons a lot. I think they're cool. But that is a lot of work to get those weapons. And they have Ascended variants, and that's even more work.
Stand down.
So,
It's just Tiny's friends again.
while the achievement points may still be, you know, while there may still be large amounts available of them, that acquiring them looks very
General
different
Soulkeeper,
as the game
this
is
is
going
quite a
on.
surprise.
Thus,
What brings
our
you to
achievement for
Rhinonovis?
cracking that puzzle was only 1 AP. That might have been a 10 achievement point achievement in
Marshal
Season 1.
rank is vacant, and we want you to fill it.
It would have been 5 at least. I don't
This
think
is
any
an honor.
achievements in
I'm
Season
glad
1
you
gave
feel
less
it
than
in
5
that
achievement
pact.
points.
The pact is hanging on by a thread.
I see.
I can tell you're having your doubts, so let me just be upfront.
But there are
about
other
the
things that give massive amounts of achievement points for
Certain
very
pact
minimal effort as well.
elements feel like
If we were
Marshal
really
Turner's
worried about
mistake
achievement points,
was going out
we'd be
with
doing
the
dailies
field
every
and
day.
getting
And
himself
actually, I should
killed.
do them every day anyway.
The news would be planted safely in an office in
That's
Lion's
easy
Arch,
to do.
Still leading the troops.
And actually, we
but
can
out
we
of harm's way.
knock that out here in a minute.
As flattered as I am by your offer, I'm going to have
Eh.
to respectfully decline, General.
I don't even
After
remember
the
which one that
Mortimer
is.
battle, I believe
let's see
Ritlon,
here.
and the
Dailies.
others would be more effective operating as our own
That's
guild.
easy though.
I understand the decision on your early retirement, although I'm disappointed.
In
I still
theory, that might be
believe in
easy.
The pact's goal.
I do too, and I'll always be
Participate
ready
in
to lend a hand.
inactivity.
It'll just be outside
I
the
mean, that's not
Out from under
hard.
a mountain of paperwork, you mean?
I just don't care that much. I don't remember which adventure that is.
Laugh it up, No Eyes.
Beetle Feast.
I have something for you too.
Genuinely do not remember which
A
one that is.
letter from the Black Citadel. You must have really brushed some higher-ups the wrong way.
Oh, Tangled Devs. I don't think I've even been to Tangled Devs yet. All right. Where's
Are
Tammy
you
at?
sure you want to just crumple that up and throw it away?
Why
We're still
not?
waiting. Still waiting on
Like we were
dialogue.
the last two.
So aside from one golem, oh, and some
Wait,
Chak,
what do I call you, Booba?
you know, this is
No.
a pretty slow
How about we just
instance as
stick
well.
with command?
But we're just about in the map.
Technically, it's a title for life, so you're welcome to it.
What was that?
That didn't sound good.
Quick, let's go see
Oh,
what's happening.
yes.
Protect the counselors! Run! It's a crazy Silvari!
Away from me!
Is that another one of your friends?
What happened?
I came in
Follow
through the
this locale
caves
no
because I
more.
couldn't find the gate. I wasn't expecting such an enthusiastic welcome.
So I think Canuck is one of my favorite characters.
Why the surprise visit?
I'm here answering the call.
But Mordremoth's dead. We killed.
Oh, it's not the Drungle Dragon's call. This time it's Anissa's.
Still holds your billet, huh?
She does. But certain messy events have transpired, and I'm assured that if I clean them up, my billet will be released, and I'll once again be free from any yoke.
Canuck actually got
How
a
can I
start as
Minister
a
Codicus recently
villain.
left the
Um,
Queen's protective custody.
I think there's a way of playing. Yeah, there is. I think you got to access it from Eye of the North, and you can play through
Any idea on his whereabouts?
the
There's been a flare-up of
little
white
kind of
mantle activity in
solo
northern
dungeon
Roma,
type thing
and intel points to him
to
possibly
go through the
heading
Canuck
there.
fight again.
That's the crazy magical hot
It was a piece of season 1 content.
I thought the minister.
It was actually when they
could not
introduced
be
South
in
Sun
bed
Cove.
with those Mersat lovers.
Didn't we all?
And so that content, all of season 1, you know, was lost for the
Marjorie
longest
might be
time.
getting a little restless
And
under
now
David's
they've
speech
reintroduced
and
all of it
wanting
all. A
to
lot of
react.
it they redeveloped though. It's completely different.
Hitch a ride on my
Not
airship.
completely different. It's
all
designed to be very close to the original
that's
season
an
1
offer I
content, but
can't
it's done
turn
in a
down.
way to where
Perfect.
it
Grab my
doesn't
shining blade detachment and meet me
require
there.
some of like the giant map events that it actually required in season 1. And in that
Let's get
sense, some of
underway.
those failures that I was talking about earlier have been successfully mitigated. You know, they actually created a solo instance to deal with
Commander, can you read me?
Time
to deal with Marionette versus the honestly,
I'm in your bag.
in my opinion, the absolute disaster that was the open world Marionette event. It was a really cool
The map just went crazy
meta event
Are you there?
and had the potential to be really interesting, but it was also designed to be extremely prone to trolls and
But I may have a solution. Based on some of Sin's old Novan research, I've devised a way for you to counter certain types of magical threats. Might take a second to get used to, so train.
Thanks, Timey. We'll talk about this thing you bugged me with later.
Oops, lab fire, gotta go!
So now we're in the map that I wanted to get to. We'll do a tiny bit of mining. We'll also gather a few plants so we can get our Hardamaguma forager.
It's hard for me to actually say, but I think
this should count as Hardamaguma. It's not on the list here.
Then how are we still alive?
I expect, however,
but others might not have
for
been
this
so
map to
lucky.
count towards
I'm
Hardamaguma.
going down to scout for survivors.
We are
See if I
located
can
in terms
piece
of the
together
map,
what happened
located
and
right
why the
here,
blast
along
reversed
with,
itself.
you know, so.
Watch your
Where does it
back
count
and
as
let me know what
Maguma
you
Waste?
find out. We'll try to get this bird running again.
No, because there's
Enough
nothing in
was
Maguma
supposed to
Waste.
meet me here. Hope he and
I
his
mean,
troops
raid in a
were
dun
out of range.
in a guild hall, but I don't think this is a map area that is considered in play yet. Raid, guild hall. This should count as Hardamaguma. We'll find out here in a second. Alright. We'll do a little bit of mining to try and get some of the map currency. But we are going to be limited in what all we can do. Oh yeah, and we're going to need the story to be able to gather Unbound Magic. And Unbound Magic is going to be critical to... let's see, that's all Mithril. It's Orichalcum. Unbound Magic is going to be critical to our ability to get these Ascended Trinkets as well. No Unbound Magic. I got means that we can't buy them, even if we successfully get the map currency. Alright, there's some. So this is what we're going to be looking for in this map. And let's see if we actually, yep, so Blood Ruby right there. We're going to need a lot of them. But this is also not the only map where, you know, where we're going to be kind of trying to achieve this. Come on, get up there, you. Throughout the Season 3 maps, this is a viable method of working on Ascended items. Ascended Trinkets, specifically. Now, there's one way over there. I think there's one right here to my left as well. So we'll grab a few of these. We're not going to waste a whole bunch of time with it right now, since we still can't get the volatile magic. And we don't have... So this map, without updrafts... I mean, really, to really maximize the map, like, the ley line gliding would be desirable. But that is a long-term... Am I going to want to kill these guys? I feel like the answer is yes. That's a rather time-consuming mastery to get, and I do not, in fact, even intend for it to be part of the 0-0 playthrough, because it adds so little to the game, to be honest. You don't really gain a whole lot from having ley line gliding. Yes, it helps on this map. Yes, it helps in a few places. But all of those places, let's say, yep, Hardamaguma Forager, 25%. But there are other options in pretty much all those places. And now with Skyscale accessible, you know, it's another thing that was kind of rendered obsolete by a new thing. Just like Griffin became...
Gods have mercy. They've been consumed by Bloodstone magic. May Grenth guide them to the next world in peace.
Shut up. Just like Griffin was kind of rendered obsolete. In some ways, so was ley line gliding. Okay.
I fully expect us to expire.
What can you make? Ascended rings, Ascended pendant, Ascended backpack. So here's an opportunity for us to, you know, of the roughly 60 agony resistance we're going to need, like there's 27 right there. You will have to gather the agony resistance as well. We already have some from our earlier fractal runs. But here's where we can put some of that. However, 5,000, 3,000, 2,000. So that's 10,000 unbound magic that we're going to need, in addition to 425 of the map currency. The trinkets from this map are particularly desirable because for only 100 unbound magic, you can change the stats on them. Unfortunately, you'll see this ring
knows no bounds. They're free.
You'll see that this is unique, which means we can't wear 2 blood ruby bands. So we can't farm this map entirely for our ascended trinkets. If we're going to fill all of our trinket slots, if all of this is going to become ascended, which it isn't actually necessary, but if we were to do that, then we would have to utilize several maps. Alright, so while we're here, let's find a couple more plants. And then we'll knock out the rest of these dailies, which does involve going to... Oh man, leave me alone. Oh, we are going to have to go into World vs. World to be able to do that. Something I hadn't really planned to do extensively on this account. It's not a big deal. I mean, Land Claimer is not... Veteran Slayer is even easier. Veteran Slayer is like the go-to World vs. World daily, but it's not on the list today. Oh, good for you, Beetle. Come on, I really don't want to fight anyone right now. I just want to...
White Mantle. But they're...
Alright, we're going to end up fighting whether I like it or not.
Magic is mine.
Be ready to run.
Oh, that bug is really causing this water to kind of be source frustration. Alright, there we go. That nonsense is done. And we got our plants. So, Land Claimer. Alpine Borderlands is probably best for that, but are we in an Alpine? We are in an Alpine. So the other Alpine. Now today's Saturday, so World vs. World, Saturday afternoon, late afternoon. World vs. World may be crowded enough that this may not be optimal for us. First time in World vs. World, we get little messages. If we can get up here without getting killed, that'll be our ticket right there. Because it should be just one. Yeah, just one. Alright, nice. So obviously I'm not running a World vs. World build.
Go forth, my minion.
Yeah, my armor is not really appropriate for World vs. World. Ooh, where are those folks at? Oh, they're elsewhere. Okay. So, if we run across enemy players, it's not going to go well for me. And I'm not good at World vs. World anyway. I'm not good at PvP game modes. For the same reasons that like the high-end like group content is a struggle for me. The buttonology, I'm not fast enough on the buttonology. So like a 1v1, I've won 1v1s, but not often because it usually ends up being a struggle for me. There is a World vs. World mount, which obviously I do not have on this account. What was going on there? Or is that one of ours? No. Okay. We'll just stay away from there. Thought I saw where someone was over there. Alright, so far so good. The other problem we're going to potentially run into is that this is also an area where people like to duel. It's kind of unofficially like it's... So there's a whole conversation to be had here about ArenaNet not really doing a good job of facilitating dueling, like 1v1, and not doing a very good job of facilitating guild versus guild gameplay. Which is weird because Guild Wars 1 was like a very PvP-centric game, and those things were important to how the game was played. And that has not become a thing in Guild Wars 2. And then they've kind of like introduced like some things that are like sort of cater to that, but not really. So it's all been kind of weird in that capacity.
Shiny.
Has anyone claimed this camp yet, or is it still? They're in the process of doing it right now. It looks like. Can it beat? Yeah. It'll probably be green by the time we get there. It's probably that player who is coming out of here with us. No? No, everyone's just chilling. No righteous... So righteous indignation is the thing where they're, like, essentially invincible. So Zerk generally is not, like, optimal stat line for World vs. World because it makes you highly vulnerable to other, like, human players. It is useful, though, for camps, like for this kind of thing, because you just want to get these guys down as fast as possible. I'm not actually doing it as fast as I would like, and there may be a price to pay for that if I'm not careful. And really, with the other thing with camps is you want to bring them down as quickly as possible because you're drawing the attention of other players as well by trying to take a camp. So the longer it takes me to do so, then the longer it takes for this to, for me to actually capture. And the more likely someone is to come flying in here and just punch me right in the side of the head, and that'll be it for me. Oddly, and maybe it's because of whatever's going on up here with this commander, oddly that does not seem to be happening right now. I would have expected it to be honest. But this is going to be it. We'll capture this camp and get out of World vs. World, because I got no business being here. It's not something I intended to do with this count, and it's not something that I'm really in the mood to do, and we got what we need out of it, so. Although, did that give us our daily? No, we would need one more camp, wouldn't we? Yeah. No, it's not even a daily today. Okay, sometimes camp capture is a daily. Let's get out of here. So the reason, achievement points notwithstanding, because I don't care about those. The real good reason for doing dailies on a brand new account like this is for the gold. We're going to get 2 gold out of doing these dailies. And that is, for us with where we're at right now, 8 gold, with it being a real young account, I'm not ashamed of 8 gold. Like, that's fine, but it's not very much in the grand scheme of things. So getting 2 more is a huge step forward. So I stopped here real quick because this guy, if this account were older, would represent another good opportunity for us to get Ascended accessories, right? Ecto, you're going to get over time. We already have some Ecto. Right after I quit recording the other night, I had some rares in my inventory. Because I didn't have the skins unlocked yet, I went ahead and salvaged those and got some Ectos out of that. So there's already, like, I think, 7 Ecto in my material storage. Gradually working towards enough to where, like, Althea's Ashes here has the stats we want. It also is a reference to something in Guild Wars 1 that a lot of players are sentimental about. I always like to have, on any power character, not any power character, but on many of my power characters, I carry Althea's Ashes, because it gives me everything I want. But these come with login rewards. It takes time to get 40. We're a month and a half or so away from that, maybe closer to 2 months. So not an option for us right now, but on a long enough timeline. And this 0-0 may well run for 2 months. Not in terms of total time gameplay, but in terms of real life calendar time because of, work and kids and stuff. So there's potential that we end up using that to get one of our Ascended pieces. Throat's getting a little dry. Gin helps with that. Let's look for the activity here, and let's also get our spoon. I'm trying to remember where the activity person is. I think they're out here somewhere. There we go. It's South Sun Survival today. I hate South Sun Survival. All the activities, I think, are I think ArenaNet did a fine job with all the activities. I don't think any of them are bad. I just don't really like any of them. I don't think they're fun. I guess that's a personal preference thing. They're not designed badly, and when they were introduced, they were novel or interesting at the time. So I'm coming into a game that's already taken place, and as a result, that's why I'm this little.
Final 2 survivors.
Yeah, this one's
Time
almost
to
over.
Really have some fun.
And in fact, it is over. However,
Ding, ding, ding! We have a winner. Congratulations.
I got credit for participation for being in there for 30 seconds. That's actually all I wanted. So I feel no need to give a tutorial on South Sun Survival. It's an activity I don't enjoy. It adds nothing to Guild Wars 2 unless you enjoy it. You can play 25,000 hours of Guild Wars 2 and never play South Sun Survival. And aside from the fact that it provides some achievement points if you do certain things within it and play it enough, you're not missing anything at all. So I don't feel the need to do any of that. We got our dailies, and that is awesome for us.
Thank you.
And we just broke 10 gold. Eventually, that achievement that we just got goes all the way up to 300 gold as kind of the pinnacle of that achievement. Why did I do that? Okay.
You are a welcome guest.
So the spoon guy, if I remember correctly, should be up here. Should be this guy. He is a legendary collector. Of all the collectors, he is a legend among them.
Need something.
Do you have anything for me? Well, whoop, wrong thing. There we go. It costs us 10 silver. Alright, collectible spoon box. So now, like my grandma, we can collect spoons and immediately get credit for the fractal spoon, which means now I can go ahead and get rid of that fractal spoon, which is worth 10 silver. So I immediately recoup the money associated with that. So that's good. Alright, this is probably a point where I should wrap it up for today. I need to, in order to continue advancing towards the goals, I'm going to have to play story. I'm going to have to knock out some story, which is not necessarily what I want to show during this, but it's going to have to be done. So, for the videos on that, I may do some cutaways on the story so that the videos aren't as long. The videos need to stop being an hour long, although right now I'm just recording the entire Twitch stream. But need to cut that down a little bit and start moving towards the actual progression. So I think that's where we'll pick up next time. As for now, enjoy your Saturday evening, and I'll see you again soon.